Welcome to Fungi Friday, episode 4 with special guest, Bull Market Bee. Fungi Mycelium has answered the bat phone emergency line and will help fix our broken plastic environmental wagon of planetary destruction. They wonder what took us so long. Today's Fungi Friday episode is full of information, education, and inspiration. Might I suggest you watch this with your school-aged children or teens? They might be more environmentally woke than you think and will like to hear about these magical mushrooms. First of all, I think we need to explain fungi fermentation and how it has evolved from the first days of using yeast and bacteria as factories. BT dubs, humans have been doing this for thousands of years, harnessing the power of yeast. What is it? They are cellulose-digesting fungi that can break down fibrous material. They use a molecular process that allows them to transform sugar into more complex molecules or chemicals. In an article for Scientific American, Yvonne Bayer, founder of Ecovative, yes, we have a bit of a crush on this company, says humans discovered liquid fermentation 10,000 years ago, turning mead to beer, to spirits and solids using fermentation for bread and cheese, helped put humanity on a rapidly accelerating path of evolution and advancement. Press the fast forward button about 9,950 years ago. I know, we're not as clever as we think we are. In 1978, two scientists, Arthur Riggs and Kiichi Itakura, created the first biosynthetic insulin using E. coli as a single-celled manufacturing plant. Mr. Bayer believes the epiphany that single-celled bacteria and yeast are sugar-powered microfactories that can be utilized to synthesize novel compounds is arguably one of the most powerful discoveries of the past 100 years. Since this discovery, scientists have been locked in labs, voluntarily of course, most of them don't like people, devoting themselves to understanding, cultivating, and eventually reprogramming single-celled organisms as yeast and bacteria and algae to make life-saving drugs, biofuel from corn, and even fragrances. According to the Scientific American article mentioned above, the liquid fermentation market is now a $150 billion market and accelerating. Not to put too fine a point on this topic, but at this very moment, the traditional chemicals industry is being massively disrupted as these products are increasingly being produced via biological fermentation and away from the traditional chemical factories. To be sure, we are at the early stage, but as we've learned from the likes of beta videos to VHS to Blockbuster's spectacular bankruptcy with the rise of streaming, the time to obsolescence is often much shorter than the people running those companies ever imagined. The current market size of the specialty chemical market is about $600 billion. What are specialty chemicals? Some common examples are essential oils, gelatin, castor oil, and collagen. The industry also makes a plethora of ingredients that go into thousands of personal care products and cosmetics. The brands selling to the end consumer are under immense pressure to radically rethink the raw ingredients they use, the supply chain climate cost, the inhumane origin of many of these ingredients, and the afterlife of the packaging that these products are housed in. So all in all, both as consumers and savvy investors, you are becoming, thanks to the shot caller ecosystem, you will really want to have a deeper look into your portfolio exposure to these industries. But wait, I thought this was a Fungi Friday episode. What about the shroom opportunity? Good point, Shannon. Stay focused. This episode might take ye some time. So mycelium is kind of like yeast, both fungi, but it has the leverage of being multicellular and can grow into macro-sized structures like mushrooms. In addition to producing small molecules This Wunder root also transforms with supreme precision into a complex structure that is often invisible to the human eye. It consumes food from a wide variety of inputs: wood, plant waste, coffee grinds, and all types of agricultural waste. As it grows, it creates a network of microscopic fibers that blossom throughout the substrate to create a superhighway system in a record amount of time. In the right environment, it can produce new materials like the acoustic panels that Mogu is making, or the mushroom-based packaging Ecovative is making to do away with styrofoam. Another mushroom mention from the Fungi Fashion episode is Microworks, who are launching Reishi, a luxury fashion and footwear line. We also learned from Microworks that a mushroom's digestive system is adaptable enough to eat pretty much anything you throw at it, which means it can break down toxic or non-recyclable chemicals within the materials it grows on. Here is where we establish the environmental street cred of Mycelium. Scientists have identified more than 120 enzymes in the tissue of mushrooms that are known to break down toxic chemicals, including cancer-causing hydrocarbons found in oil. They are the Oscar the Grouch of the microorganism world, but I think they're a little happier. In a process called microremediation, mushrooms have been able to remove toxins from the soil and heavy metals from water. In one test, researchers inoculated diesel-contaminated soil with oyster mushrooms and found that they reduced the concentration of toxic hydrocarbons from a dangerous 10,000 parts per million to just 200 parts per million over a 16-week period. The remediated soil was so clean that regulators approved it for use in landscaping along the highways. An indigenous group led by women in New Mexico called Tiwa Women United planted a garden in a parking lot to demonstrate how food and medicine can be grown in an environment that receives only 11 inches of rain per year. But the soil is toxic because petroleum from a nearby parking lot bleeds into the soil when it rains. The Tiwa women have applied for a permit to use oyster mushroom mycelium to clean up the toxins that are making their community sick. As if all of this weren't already impressive, in 2012, Yale researchers discovered a mushroom in the Amazon forest that is capable of surviving by eating only plastic. It can convert polyurethane into organic matter anaerobically, meaning it can survive without oxygen. The implications are immense. They can be deposited at the bottom of a landfill or potentially for home use. Imagine adding cute little microorganisms to your weekly grocery shop and popping them into your recycling bin. Bing, bang, boom. Compost for your hipster garden. Okay, we now have some great environmental hope to get us through the weekend and avoid the apocalypse.